So give me a shot, please. I've been dreaming about this fight with Anderson Silva since I started MMA.
If there is one guy in the middleweight division that can beat Anderson Silva, he's the man. Chris Weidman will be the next middleweight champion.
We'll see if Weidman takes him down. He does. Weidman is in his world now.
Without a doubt, this is going to be Anderson Silva's toughest defense of his belt today.
I'm a nightmare matchup for him, stylistically. I have better wrestling, and I have better jiu-jitsu. I'm young, I'm hungry, I'm athletic, I'm long.
I will fight anybody at any time, but every time when I was in that division and my phone rang, I would think, geez, I hope they're not going to tell me I got Chris Weidman.
I think he has the attitude, the talent, the wrestling to be something special.
Anderson Silva, Chris Weidman.
This fight's going to get nasty.
UFC middleweight champion Anderson Silva puts his belt on the line against undefeated top-ranked challenger Chris Weidman. Former lightweight champ Frankie Edgar squares off with rising featherweight star Charles Oliveira. And 6th-ranked featherweight Dennis Seaver battles 5th-ranked contender Cub Swanson. The countdown to UFC 162 starts now.
The next middleweight contender to challenge Anderson Silva emerges.
If you're going to build someone to beat Anderson Silva, I think Chris Weidman would be that guy.
And the Chris Weidman train keeps rolling.
There's guys that are tough fighters, there's guys that are talented fighters, and then there are guys that stand out even amongst the sea of tough and talented fighters. And Chris Weidman is one of those.
Chris Weidman showing he can wrestle and he can strike.
This is the guy to break Anderson's undefeated streak. Chris is a very, very good wrestler and All-American, and he's also an undefeated mixed martial artist.
Weidman looking for that takedown. Got it. Just like that.
Weidman's a master grappler. Weidman's an All-American wrestler. He can take Anderson down. He's far superior on the ground.
Weidman immediately goes for the high crotch and finishes with the double.
Let's see if Weidman takes him down. He does. How good are his takedowns? His wrestling is probably his weakest discipline.
There it is again.
You always want to bring your opponent to where you have that advantage. So I will be looking for the takedown anytime it's presented to me.
Nice takedown into side control.
Good position for Chris Weidman.
A probabilidade dos meus adversários terem supostamente uma maior chance é usando o wrestler ou me botando para baixo.
He has to go back, follow Chael Sonnen's blueprint, and take the fight to Anderson Silva the very same way that Chael did, and also just avoid the submissions.
Triangle, watch out! Triangle! It's in trouble! It's in trouble!
That's where Chael went wrong. When he got top position, he was a little bit just too rushed and too tense. When I get him to the ground, everything's going to be steady, precise. You know, I'm not going to waste punches when I don't have to. Weidman is in his world now.
Vicious working on that Cub. Nice elbow, and he's bleeding badly from another spot now.
There's one factor that has not been accounted for in Weidman's game, and that's his jiu-jitsu game.
Standing guillotine, trying to lock it in. It is all over!
Weidman, I'm telling you, has one of the best BJJ games out there.
You have to respect that front headlock from Weidman because he'll turn that into a guillotine choke or a dart.
He's amazing. If he gets that full mount position, he's going to finish the fight.
Lawler is in all sorts of trouble. Trying to get it right here. He's out. Yeah, he's out. It is all over. Wow.
What Chris brings to the table is an offense which merges jiu-jitsu skills and wrestling skills. He can impose them on an opponent through a physicality which few people can keep up with.
Weidman relentless with his positioning and with those attacks. This is why Weidman is so dangerous.
And now Anderson starting to throw the strikes. Wow, good takedown defense by Silva.
A minha segunda luta com o Chael foi muito melhor porque eu não estava machucado, né?
And that could be an early turning point. That is an early turning point in
se eu tivesse do mesmo jeito que eu tava nessa segunda luta com ele na primeira, nem teria a segunda luta, mas enfim.
Whether he's healthy or not healthy, if we get into a wrestling situation, I'm going to be the stronger guy in the cage.
Oh, look at that, though. He lost him. Oh, that's some wrestling right there.
Não existe uma modalidade melhor que a outra, acho que uma se completa. O Chael tem um bom wrestling? Tem, mas ele precisa de um bom jiu-jitsu para completar o wrestling dele. O Weidman tem um bom jiu-jitsu? Tem. Ele tem um bom wrestling? Tem, mas ele precisa de uma boa base em pé para completar todo o treino dele.
Anderson Silva, if he wants to teach me some stand-up after I fight, I'd love to learn. And I'll teach him some wrestling and jiu-jitsu.
Anyone who says elbows just cut, we just saw one that knocked people out.
I'm willing to exchange with him, but we're not going to have a kickboxing match. It's all about deceiving your opponent. You know, Chael Sonnen dropped Anderson Silva, I think, twice. No one would say that Chael Sonnen has better striking than Anderson Silva. But when he's thinking about the takedown, he punched some guy in the face, they're going to feel it.
All these different opponents have always said what they're going to do to Anderson when they get inside the octagon. Anderson doesn't have to say what he's going to do. He just goes out there and does it.
Silva trying to finish it here. Another knee. And down goes Franklin, and it is all over. Nice leg kick by Urban. And Urban's in trouble already.
Anderson Silva does things inside the octagon that make you wonder whether or not he's human.
Silva, confident in his striking. Look at the hands glow. I think he does. Down goes Griffin.
Anderson Silva moves like a man in a video game.
Anderson Silva remains the champion.
I'm not in there to just share the octagon with him. He knows he's not going to beat me before we step in that cage like he's beating a lot of other guys.
He is the reigning, defending UFC.
I'm undefeated. I refuse to lose. I'm going to have that mindset when we walk into the cage.
Standing guillotine, trying to lock it in. It is all over.
This is the first time I've ever looked at a guy who's stepping into the octagon to face Anderson Silva. And I've said, you know what? This guy could be the guy. He could beat him.
I grew up in Baldwin, Long Island. It's on the South Shore of Long Island. It's a diverse neighborhood. My dad pretty much got us in sports when we were real young. Started with hockey and baseball, soccer, you know, pretty much everything. Eventually fell in love, you know, with wrestling and then went on with that. I was a two-time county champion, four-time conference champion, state champion, a couple-time All-American wrestling in high school. I went to Nassau Community College, Hofstra University. I was a four-time college All-American, two-time junior college All-American, and two-time Division I All-American. As much as I've accomplished in wrestling, I never felt like I fulfilled my goals. So I never felt like I really achieved what I wanted to. So it made me even more hungry to do MMA.
His first teacher was a very close friend of mine, Matt Serra.
1, 2.
And he learned under Matt, competed in a submission grappling tournament, the Abu Dhabi World Championships, did extremely well.
After 3 months of jiu-jitsu with the gi on, I decided to try my first tournament. And I won my weight class and the absolute division, which is every single weight class combined, the best guys in the tournament. And I submitted every single one of them, 13 opponents by submission. I won $1,000, a championship belt, some free clothes. That's when I realized I was meant to do this.
Chris added another jiu-jitsu coach, Renzo Gracie, world-famous member of the family that invented the discipline, and mentor to UFC champions George St. Pierre and Frankie Edgar.
When he's throwing, that hand up. Yes. Now grab it.
Hey, you fast mount. Beautiful.
Renzo's role, you know, is also huge. Anytime Renzo comes in a room, he's always showing me something that's like, geez, I didn't think that would ever work, and then now I start hitting it. It's just like little tricks that I don't think he only shares with certain people. When I decided to get into MMA, everyone knew if you're in Long Island, you go see Ray Longo. He develops like an emotional connection to his fighters.
We developed an instant rapport, very analytical, was very inquisitive, wanted to know what was going on, and right from day one I knew he had something special.
Less than a year after beginning his MMA training, Chris turned pro. His first opponent lasted 95 seconds.
He's a Brazilian Jiu-Jitsu black belt.
Whoa! Weidman goes for the Greco throw.
I ended up taking him down in the first round, submitting him.
He's got it, done.
Opponent number 2 made it over 2 minutes.
Big right hand by Weidman. Nice right hand again. Stewart's in trouble here. It's over.
Future Ultimate Fighter sensation Uriah Hall became victim number 3.
Cancel for 3. Here we go.
Uriah Hall was definitely a challenge. He's an unbelievable athlete, so people get intimidated, but I knew where my head was at, and I was very confident.
Okay, that answer double leg down. We'll see if Uriah can get back to his feet. Nice right hand by Hall. Weidman with a kick. Oh, Weidman landed a shot. Oh, and he nailed Uriah Hall with a left hook. Weidman teeing off on Uriah Hall. And that's it, this fight is over.
It was a great fight. I ended up being able to showcase my stand-up by knocking him out in the first round.
When Matt Serra talks about Chris Weidman, he talks about him in a way that is reserved for a special athlete. He doesn't talk about him and say, oh, this kid's tough, this kid's really good, you know, he's going to have a good career in the UFC. He says, this guy's a...
My UFC debut wasn't a fairy tale debut I always imagined. It was on 2.5 weeks' notice, and they asked me if I wanted to fight against Alessio Sakara.
Nice straight right by Weidman.
He was on a 3-fight win streak. He had like 12 fights already in the UFC. He was a devastating striker, but it took about 30 seconds for me to realize, oh, this is my opportunity. I got to take this. I'm going to run with it. I'm going to beat this guy.
Big takedown. Living up to the billing in his UFC debut, Chris Weidman.
My next opponent was Jesse Bonfeld. I ended up submitting him in the first round by standing guillotine.
10 seconds on the clock now. Standing guillotine, trying to lock it in. It is all over! Wow!
Chris Weidman!
My third fight in the UFC was against Tom Lawler. He's a really tough guy, you know, strong wrestler with good jiu-jitsu and heavy hands on his feet. Ended up taking him down right away in the first round and put him to sleep.
Trying to finish the fight.
He's in a lot of trouble here. And Weidman is squeezing it. He's using that left leg to get leverage.
He's out. Yep, he's out. It is all over. The All-American wins by submission. Chris Weidman, with the injury to Mark Munoz, he takes tonight's fight against Damian Maia on 11 days' notice.
This is a guy who's fought Anderson Silva to 5 rounds. He's a guy who submitted Chael Sonnen in the first round.
Nice takedown into side control.
Chris Weidman may just pull off the biggest victory of his MMA career.
Chris Weidman!
Going against Mark Munoz was, you know, at that time the biggest fight of my career.
Weidman immediately goes for the high crotch and finishes with a double. Beautiful right to side mount is Weidman.
I mean, he was on paper a better wrestler than me, on paper better striker.
Not a good start for Mark Munoz.
He's a real explosive guy, and he has a strong right hand, so every time he was coming to lunge in with that right hand, I was popping him with, I went from a cross to a hook. He came in again. It was just kind of like, let me switch it up, and as soon as he came with that right hand, I see he wanted to hit me really bad, and I was like, let me just throw that elbow in there. After beating Mark Munoz, I got scheduled against Tim Boetsch, and about 8 weeks out from that fight, I tore my labrum, my rotator cuff, my AC joint. So I was out of that fight.
Chris's path to the fight has been beset by obstacles that I think would have stopped a lesser person.
Backyard. I cannot believe this.
We didn't think it was going to get in our house. No one thought it was really going to get in our house.
Jesse, I am so screwed, bro.
The worst storm we've ever had on this block as far as flooding was Hurricane Irene, which was the year before. And we didn't get water even in this garage. So when they said Hurricane Sandy's coming, they said this is going to be a bad one, but they said it was going to be something around something like Hurricane Irene.
The calm before the storm. Backyard. I cannot believe this. 3 hours before high tide even hits. That's what we're looking at. In the middle of my street.
The reason I stayed, we didn't think it was going to get in our house. No one thought it was really going to get in our house. But we had some sandbags around the garage and tarp, thinking that's going to stop the water from coming in.
It is almost up to our garage.
Obviously, it got a lot worse than we could have ever imagined.
I'm inside now. It's getting kind of crazy. And this is what we're looking at. These lights still out. That's the last you'll see, and that's it. The couch is floating. Couch is floating away. As you can see. My garage in there. Fully filled. Water's actually in the bathtub. And there was no water in the bathtub before we got here. This is not good.
I actually came out here when there was about 4 feet of water to try to get a pump going in the crawl space over here. I ended up getting electrocuted by the pump, and then came back inside and never went back outside again.
Jesse, I am so screwed, bro. Every one of those bins have spilled over.
We had everything stacked in bins and weighed down so we'd be good. And everything just, when the water came up, everything just got flipped over and all the bins opened up and everything got ruined. I was actually coming in and out of here trying to save stuff when the water first came to the garage. You had diapers going through past my face, and we found out later that all the sewage was up. So yeah, I was swimming in sewage. Everything you can imagine you have in a house got ruined. It was a good night.
Boat upside down pretty much.
The next day, it was just chaos out here. I mean, there was just boats and jet skis everywhere, you know, on front lawns. We had a basketball hoop on our front lawn that came from 4 blocks down. There was people's roofs on top of other people's roofs. 3 houses were destroyed completely. Life has definitely changed for everyone down here, you know, for a long time.
Chris is a family man. He has a wife and children, and in 24 hours, he went from a normal, settled family life to one where he was essentially homeless.
7 months later, we're still not back to normal. It's been a lot longer road than that day, you know, when Hurricane Sandy hit. I've envisioned the moment where Dana White comes behind me, he's trying to fidget around and get that belt around her waist. I had Hurricane Sandy I had to deal with. Been living in my parents' basement with my daughter for a long time. This would be, you know, a dream come true for me and my family. It'd make me feel like I'm doing this for the right reason.
Last October, middleweight champion Anderson Silva, the top pound-for-pound fighter in the world, owner of a UFC record 15-fight win streak, took his third fight at 205 pounds. His first two opponents lasted less than 4.5 minutes combined.
Anderson Silva, Stephan Bonnar. Here we go!
Anderson Silva has really deceptive strength.
Então, na verdade, quando eu tava na grade, eu não empurrei ele pra sair da grade. Na verdade, ele desistiu de me pressionar contra a grade pra me derrubar e eu voltei pra grade.
Yeah, Anderson went back to the cage. He's standing there on the cage on purpose.
E nesse tempo, ele voltou de novo. E ele não tinha recuperado toda a energia dele pra, de repente, conseguir um takedown perfeito. É parte do meu estilo de luta, lutar com a guarda um pouco baixa e induzir os meus adversários a errar. Eu não faço nada para aparecer para os fãs ou coisa parecida. Eu faço o que eu treino e o que eu coloco em prática na luta é exatamente o que eu treino.
Oh, wow. Good shot.
And he generates so much power with those short punches, Joe.
O corner pediu para que eu saísse da grade, né? Para manter a calma dos meus corners e a minha calma também, pedi para eles ficarem calmos, que eu sabia exatamente o que estava fazendo. Quando ele levantou desequilibrado. E aí o momento que eu vi que podia dar joelhada foi onde eu apliquei o golpe.
If you tried to do that knee 100 times, it probably wouldn't land in the right place the way it did that night. And Anderson just has a tendency to be able to do that.
Looking to finish the fight right here. It is all over.
It was the first knockout loss of Stephan Bonnar's 13-year career.
One more brilliant performance by the greatest martial artist of all time.
Eu fiz o que eu tinha que fazer. Eu acho que se treina 100%, o resultado é 100%.
Moving forward, Anderson will be doing a good deal of that training away from his home in Rio.
Anderson opened up a gym here in Torrance, California, basically as a private training facility for himself.
Eu abri a minha escola aqui, né? É um sonho desde quando eu comecei a treinar. É o meu espaço onde eu treino com os meus amigos. Isso aqui é uma extensão da minha casa.
A facility like this is not for everyone, but then again, Anderson Silva is just not anybody. He's the best of all time, and I believe he deserves to have a training facility like this of his own.
It's expected that Anderson will eventually engage in super fights with fellow champions George St. Pierre and John Jones. But Chris Weidman has other plans.
Trust me, I talked to Chris Weidman myself. Guy looks me right in the eye and says, I'm telling you, I apologize that I'm going to all your super fights, but I'm going to win this fight. Because if you take Anderson Silva out of the mix, the super fights are all gone. Verbatim what the guy said to me.
Independente de ele me vencer ou não, uma super luta com o George St. Pierre é uma super luta. Não é George St. Pierre e Weidman. Ele tá chegando agora. É uma super luta. John Jones, Anderson Silva. É outro nível. Ele vai ter chances dele. Eu respeito ele como atleta, mas ele não vai estragar plano nenhum. Vai continuar sendo super luta. Então, ele foi infeliz nesse comentário. Uma pena.
The greatest fighter on the planet Earth, ladies and gentlemen, Anderson Silva.
You know, these titles, like greatest of all time, you know, he's earned that, and I have a lot of respect for that. but that's not the guy I'm going to be fighting. I'm not going to fight the greatest of all time. You know, I'm not thinking of that when I'm walking to the cage.
Chris Weidman!
You know, I'm not fighting the myth. I'm not fighting this aura, this mystique. I'm fighting a man who I think that my skill set is better than. And that's really all there is to it.
Chris Weidman's a scary man, and he is the biggest threat that Anderson Silva has ever faced in his entire spectacular career.
Como eu disse, o Weidman tem as qualidades dele. Todo mundo tem uma falha, todo mundo tem uma fraqueza.
I'm confident and I have a lot of tools to beat anybody in the world.
Give it up, ladies and gentlemen, Chris Weidman!
I am completely ready to be the UFC champion.
The star continues to rise.